welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for our discussion on #OpinionCourt. Please do get in touch with us. 22422 is our SMS line. Please do text us. And of course, you could reach out to us on social media. We'd love to hear from you at Citizen TV Kenya and at Citizen TV News are our handles on Twitter. And you could use the Facebook page by the respective names. Please use the #OpinionCourt. That's one word so that we can be able to track your conversation. Let me be able to reintroduce my panel to you. To my immediate right is Mandera Senator Bilo Kero. Next to him, Professor Margaret Kobia, who is the chair of the Public Service Commission. And across from me, Edward Kisiangani, our resident political analyst. You're all once again welcome to the program. Senator, I want to start with you with a quick update from the ground. And it has been intimated that there may be demonstrations in Mandera tomorrow. What would those protests be about?
First, I think let me start by saying when the head of public service and his team went to Mandera a couple of days ago, and together with the governor, pleaded with the members of the public service who wanted to be evacuated. I think it helped significantly. Yesterday, they only allowed about 40, I think mainly those who women and those who are pregnant and those ones left. But I think generally quite a majority of them have actually gone back to work. It helped to calm the situation. The public, I think there was also a meeting yesterday organized by the governor with the leaders of the town. Have also really appealed to those professionals that they are willing to support them in any way in terms of assisting them in their safety and so forth. I think the situation, therefore, generally is stabilizing, and I think the few members who are still holed up at the army camp will, I'm sure, in the next few days probably find. And of course, it's holiday time. Generally, most of the public servants from upcountry around this time go for Christmas holidays. Is the normal practice. In fact, even those who want to leave, the argument is largely that could we be allowed, in any case we were going to go, let's just go for the next 2-3 weeks for the holidays and come back. They are, in fact, all willing to come back.
What of the protests?
Well, I think there is a concern. The protest that I am told likely to happen tomorrow is with regards to what has been happening is that, and I think the governor has elaborated this very clearly in the media the past few days, that the single most important challenge we have is the commitment to work by the security forces that are there. And so what is happening is that few of the people who really are committed, whom you can, if anything happens, in the middle of the night, because the tradition in Mandera has been that if some firing happens across the border at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., rarely would the police come out of their camp. But here is a new OCS, an SOS that has been posted there. They're saying even if it's 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., if anything happens, he comes out, and people really say he's the best guy whom they have had in the last few years in that town. And the story they have is that this gentleman, without any reason really, because he's only among the few guys who are working that is being moved out today. A transfer came for him. So I've heard that people want to, the public there want to protest. In fact, the county government, the governor himself has also communicated to the IG on that matter, and we have all thought that if really this is the only part, that is the reason why they are protesting, not really.
Okay.
Actually, I think it would be a little bit unwise to have this demonstration, because when I talked to the head of public service before I came here, he said when he talked with the elders, the leadership of Mandera, the people of Mandera want the public servants to be there. Right now, there are about 2,500 public servants from all over. And those who are sitting in the KDF are about 165, and mainly they are women and children. And you didn't hear the government didn't evacuate about 50 who are their situation as women and children. They kind of sympathize that brought them this way. Therefore, I would like a situation where we appreciate the little done by the public servants, especially now you are hearing the normalcy is returning, rather than kind of fund it again with the demonstration. I think it will not be working well for Mandera when the Mandera leaders have decided they don't want to keep these public servants. However, of course, what has happened, all of us should understand that anybody, or even me, I would have some fears. But when I'm being reassured that the government is doing something, I think we should calm down, give them that psychological counseling so that they're able to stay. On the other hand, Anne, if there is any public servant who have been given any intelligence and there is evidence, because sometimes we work with a lot of generalities that X and Y is not performing. But if you ask for this data from whatever source, so that action can be taken and this person is held accountable, sometimes it's not forthcoming. Therefore, I would urge a situation where the general public do not blame public servants generally and demoralize them and make them feel like they want to move out because they're not appreciated.
You know, Prof, you're making a lot of points and I want to be able to capture all of them. Yes. So let me interject first by saying this. With those that remain camped at the military air base, do you support their evacuation? Those who are there right now, there's still about 100 or so.
Those who are there, about 165, most of them are not necessarily public servants, but they are families who are public servants there, and they have been taken there by the public servants there. Therefore, the children and the women, I wouldn't have any problem the government bringing them to take them to their region. But the public servants themselves, I think there's wisdom. Because as a public servant, we don't work because of money or anything. It's a calling and a commitment, and they want to make a contribution. Therefore, them being supported and their fears being allayed, so that they can continue serving the Mandera people who have already accepted, we want these public servants to work for us. We have welcomed them over the years. They have worked here before. So it's only this incident. And let me also point out, as the senator said, there are many kind of intelligence which has been coming to the OCPD and the county commissioner. But out of the very several, we also don't know how many have been averted before they happen, before this particular incident. Therefore, I'm not supporting that the one incident is also should be excused. But we should also be alive that there are many incidences because of intelligence that similar incidences have been avoided.
All right, let me come to you, Prof. Do you think the public service has in any way overlooked the security of public servants to portray this picture that all is well, stay on the ground?
I think what Prof. Margaret Kobia is saying has no weight.
Why?
Really, she's playing public relations she has to defend the person who pays her. And she's saying, you just stay, you have been reassured. A lot of people have been reassured in this country. When there was Westgate, we were reassured. We have to look at ourselves in the face. Has the security of Nairobi improved since the reassurance from the president? No. We had Mpeketoni, the reassurance again came. Has the security of Lamu improved? No. In fact, people now don't want to go there. They are announcing, they have a cultural festival. I wonder who would go there. We have been reassured about Mombasa. And these things are okay, you stay, you are okay. That has not translated into security in Mombasa. We have been reassured about Kapedo. Even after the operation takes place on day 1, on day 2, the same fellows who have killed our policemen again do it. So really what I'm saying is that what Professor Margaret Kobia is saying is hot air. It doesn't help. The people who are burying others have better feelings, and she should know that. Then I think the other bit is this. I think if you look at the Constitution of the Republic, which it spells out the work of the president. The president is our employee. We have employed the president to look after us. And we employed him and gave him responsibility under Article 131 and Article 132. He still has responsibility under Article 58 on the declaration of emergency. He is not using the Constitution. Because, look, if you realize that people are not doing the correct job, I think one day the president should just deploy a very close friend of him who does not necessarily work with the security forces and who does not probably sit in State House, and then ask him, go and sit in a police station in Bungoma or sit in a police station in Nyeri and see how the police do their work. They will give him correct information on how the policemen do. Today in Nairobi, I will give you an example of what the president doesn't know. I was on Thika Road, and there was a junction from a feeder road entering Thika Road somewhere. And then I saw that Batatus had blocked the entry, the junction from the feeder road to Thika Road. I approached the policemen and told them, look, these people can block this road and cause a security problem. And so, please act. Why are you also lined up in a vehicle watching as Matatus block this road? It can create security problem. When I said that, they say, oh yes, and then drove off. We are being told that we are now being told that I need to make this point clear.
Okay.
We are now being told that people must share security intelligence. The president himself has said, let us share information because the police cannot do it. What the president doesn't know that the public have no trust in the police. That is why you have seen in Mandera, the people who are disgruntled and feeling bad about this security situation have come to the army camp, not in the police camp. They are communicating a message. Finally, what I would say about this is this. If for every security situation we take the army, why are we paying police? The president must dissolve the police, and he must sack all those who have resisted reforms in the police force. This is not a joking matter,
okay.
And we are telling. I'm telling you that.
I don't agree with you.
I don't agree. Yes.
I don't agree with you because I think what has happened in Kenya, everybody has made himself an authority. Now the fact that the security experts have been meeting in the last 2 days just to address this issue. In Kenyan context, everybody has made themselves an authority, and everybody wants to say they are expert in every area. I think if we go in that direction, we will never confront the challenges we are facing in this country.
Professor, let me ask you about county commissioners
who
chair the security committees. Obviously, we all know that is a position that remained very contested as to whether or not it's constitutional. Nonetheless, they are in place. And the position of the senator seated here and that of the county, of the governor, is that those organs that county commissioners chair have proved to be ineffective. They're not taking intelligence seriously. So one wonders, was the argument for having county commissioners on the ground for security purposes really a viable one at all?
I think the whole idea or innovation of having county commissioner to be in charge of coordinating on government functions in the county is an excellent one.
It is unconstitutional.
And in this, it is not unconstitutional because if you look at the law, the president can delegate to the county commissioners for coordination, including security, or to the county commissioner. Now the issue here, I understand the county commissioner who is there is about 3 months old since he reported, and this particular isolated incident, I don't think for Mandera we can generalize and blame this one county commissioner. I think the whole idea we should look in totality. Where did we go wrong? And where do we need to come back on the table and try to find a solution of insecurity in this country, because it's a terrorism.
Senator, from your perspective, where did we go wrong? A response to the professor.
No, I think I want to respond also to the county commissioner thing, but let me, I want to agree with the professor on one thing. I think it's time we started thinking out of the box, and even the president, I would really advise that he should not be beholden to the advice of his security team. These are the people who failed. The 9 people who sit with him there, or 8, these are the people who are letting him down. He needs to raise security matters at the cabinet meeting like the one of today. This is a government issue, and
but you are not aware
because
it is
no, they announced.
Well, from the State House communication, it was not there.
You know, an agenda.
To be fair, from the State House communication, ma'am, it wasn't there. I want to read you a quote that I came across to all of you and respond to it, because Prof, you raised this earlier, and unfortunately, you've triggered this a little too early in my debate. Nonetheless, an opinion piece, as you often do, Professor, an opinion piece by Patrick Gadara. He's a political cartoonist and a writer, and he opines, and I quote, "It is plain that a government run by people who see the rest of the populace as a threat to their position and to their opportunities to extract rents will not be too motivated to protect them. In fact, Kenyatta's administration," he writes, "has tended to treat insecurity not as a security threat but a public relations problem," which is part of what, Professor, you had said in your commentary. Do you agree with this, Senator? Do you see that what has happened in Mandera and in other parts of the country is not being dealt with as a security question, but rather a question of PR, of how the country's image looks?
No, I think I think we have a serious challenge, and I don't. Well, I am in the government, but I get the sense that we are not taking the gravity of this matter really the way it ought to be, as a matter of fact. And I sort of can agree to what Gadara says, really, in a sense that that the government has come out so many times, this says, to indicate that we have invested so much money, we have invested so much equipment, we have done these reforms, we have done that, and you know it's. But the reality is, really, at the end of the day, the picture on the ground has not significantly changed. We were promised at Westgate. Then it went to Lamu, and we were told it won't happen again. It happened. We have no idea it won't happen again tomorrow. So what we are saying is really that.
But what would motivate the government?
The government. Let me just finish.
Okay.
What I want really is that, for example, I'll give you the reason why I want the president to really take those guys to account. A few months ago, in the same spot where this bus was attacked, this is about three months or so ago, 4 vehicles, it was published, 4 vehicles were attacked by Al-Shabaab. 2 of them were burned to the ground. 2 of them were hijacked, of the Mandera ones. When the police tried to chase after them, 11 policemen, including police reservists, were killed. Now, that is when the president ordered that a temporary army camp be put up there. Armored personnel carriers, 7 of them were sent to there. Would you believe that 2 weeks before this incident, that temporary camp was moved out? The governor says he learned about it only last weekend when he went back. He didn't even know. The camp was moved out, yet they know it's a black spot. The last 1 year, over 10 to 12 incidents have occurred there of attacks by Shabab in the same spot. So when you find that sometimes you are given information, sometimes it's good to really, because security affects not just that team. The reason why I'm suggesting this, Prof, is because it affects the work of your ministry, as it has done now.
Yeah.
It affects tourism. It affects every ministry. And so it's important to bring government and really...
I think the government...
Professor, with a question, and I'll allow your response after that. Because the feeling I'm getting from this panel is that words are not enough. Despite the assurances that even you are giving now on national television to civil servants who are in Mandera, that this panel does not agree that they should have any confidence to remain there. If civil servants should choose not to return to work past this 1 week grace period that you have offered them, will that be considered absconding duty? And should that be the case, what action will be taken?
I think from what you have seen the last 2 days, in my view, I don't think that the public servants are going to move out of Mandera. And I also do understand if public service is not efficient and effective because of insecurity, the whole country suffers. And I was going to ask, what would motivate a government really to play a public relation exercise, and the government role is to protect its people? Therefore, for me, I think there are huge challenges. Maybe that it needs not only the government, everybody, to open up their brains and bring as solutions to these terrorism challenges.
But should someone not go to work past that 1 week grace period?
Let me tell you, public service, one of their roles is to protect public servants. That is very clear in the Constitution, protection of public servants. Therefore, nobody would be really victimized or discriminated because they did not go, because there are varied reasons. However, I do not see it going that way, because as we heard from the county commissioners, it has calmed down and the situation is returning to normalcy. So unless they are incited to go through this demonstration which is planned tomorrow, which I would really urge people not to go.
It's not about the public.
Then it will be about insecurity.
No. It's about an officer who's
an officer.
They want to retain.
An officer.
Therefore,
let me just finish. Therefore, I see a situation where the public servants who have always committed themselves, because whoever is in public servant is people who are always willing to go an extra mile, and then they must be appreciated. So I see they are willing to serve. Therefore, so long as they assure this security, I see them staying. Because of those who are really, you cannot even say 10%. I have that confidence.
Fair
and we are willing to go there to help them feel that they need to provide that service.
You have argued that everybody is an expert on security.
That's how it looks on this security matter. Everybody, every corner, it's like Kenyans, everybody is an analyst, and we miss the point. Because everybody now is
fair enough. Let him make his point.
You as a distinguished professor and with very, very good record in public service, you shouldn't be arguing like that. That's a very pedestrian argument. If you look at what the president has said, he said there will be no policeman for everybody. And so he says everybody must get involved. Already the president is giving us authority
I think
to contribute. And so, let me give you an example of our concerns as citizens. And if this doesn't make sense to the president, I don't know what makes sense to him. There were attacks in Garissa sometime last year. And after the attack, his Inspector General announced there will be an operation tomorrow. Recently, I watched him again. There was Kabedo attack. Then he said now the armies, they will be on operation tomorrow. When you announce that there will be an operation tomorrow, who trained this Kimaiyo man? Let me ask you. You cannot do that. If you start announcing and then you expect that these people will sit there. So I have just made that comment to say my frustration as a citizen. But I want to add something quickly, Anne.
Yes.
The question of security, we are talking about terrorism right now. Terrorism-related security. But we must know that there are many places in this country which are unsafe, and the insecurity is not about terrorism. So you can still justify the terrorist activity and say this is a very difficult thing, it goes beyond our borders. But what about areas like Nyeri, areas like Bungoma, Mount Elgon, areas like Nakuru and Eldoret, which are completely insecure? What is the explanation for that? You will still give the same terrorist...
I want to rescue Professor Kobia from that because she does not chair
there are public servants there.
But even if they are there, some of the incidences that are happening, you are really generalizing them. There would be, when you look at what Kimaiyo said, he said the data for crime was reduced.
He's lying.
Let me
he's a liar. Bring him on this show so that we tell him he's a liar.
We need to look at the data of last year, this year, and they say it has reduced.
No, he's a liar.
I think the biggest challenge now is
Professor Kisiangani, let me prevail upon you. I appreciate your views. We must wind up because of time, but I want to come to you all with a final comment. I'll start with you, Professor Kobia. I mean, I don't think there's anyone who takes for granted the work that public servants do. Their services are necessary for all of us, and certainly for the people of Mandera. We hope that they will be able to access the very best of the services. I'll let you make your final comment on that question as we go to our other panelists. So your final thoughts about civil servants who are based in areas, and this is broadly, areas that have witnessed heightened insecurity.
To the public servants who are working in hard-to-reach areas like Mandera, Galisa, I think what you are saying with this incident is opening up our thinking. There has to be other ways of making sure we attract and retain public servants who are in these handy areas. This morning I spent a lot of time with the Minister on Devolution, Salaries and Remuneration, and dealing with union matters. And one of the things they brought on the table is the terms and conditions of people serving in Mandera, and we hear
areas,
what kind of conditions we should improve, like maybe giving them hardship allowance or improving their terms like doctors, so that we are able to keep a doctor in Mandera, because we know this constitution guarantees equity of resources, including human resources. So it is a responsibility of the public service to ensure that public service is more effective, efficient, if we really want economic growth and development of this country. We should focus on that.
For your views, I'll come to you, Prof, with your final comment, and please touch on the political impact of heightened insecurity in this country.
Well, first of all, Anne, this insecurity across the country, whether terrorist-oriented or otherwise, has destroyed the economies of counties. Counties now cannot invest with confidence, knowing that actually their investment is going to flourish because of insecurity. Secondly, we need reforms within the security sector so that the president can have something to depend on. Now, in a political sense, it's just we have a weak opposition in this country. And when you watch them, they are miserable. This was an issue that the opposition would pick up and start impeachment proceedings against the president or even the IG. This is within the constitution, because if he doesn't do that, what else can he do? He's supposed to be impeached. Nobody in the opposition is saying that. They are just crying about insecurity, but they know they have a constitutional mandate to quote that and say, President Kenyatta, look, you haven't done very well, and because you have not done well, we want to impeach you.
He's quoting impeachment.
Impeachment, and they have not done that. So I don't want even them to say that. But in terms of implication in the coming few years, if there is one thing that will fail the Jubilee government and they can lose the election, I can tell you this on your face. It is an opinion, you can ignore it. But if there is one thing that can fail Jubilee, is this rhetoric about insecurity. Any third force, which is not the current opposition, can come up and say, look, we want to fix security. These guys have been promising through rhetoric. They have not fixed us. They have no business ruling this country. That is going to happen if they don't change.
Wow. Okay, I'll allow Senator your final views.
You know, terrorism is such a serious matter globally that it can destroy a country. more than anything else. And you have seen how many countries have been destroyed because of war and terrorism. It's not a simple matter, and I think the government, the president, I agree with Prof, he needs to take this matter. Really, he needs a paradigm shift on the way he's looking at security. It's not about telling Kenyans, you do this or you do that. These are people who are ready to die and who can sync with your country. Two, I think public servants, in my view, in any part of this country, they need security in order to work. It's not just in Mandera, in Nairobi, everywhere. That confidence is necessary. But I think the manner in which some of the unions, really, I think incited workers in Mandera and other parts of the county to leave, it's really unfortunate. It was not called for. However, I want to completely disagree with the one notion, one thinking that Professor Kobe has just mentioned, that you're looking at special terms for those regions that are not. 50 years after our independence, we don't want to have that tag, that our area is a hardship area, our area is, problematic area, and that anybody who wants to go there will give it a little more sense. No, what we want is the government to equitably share resources and development. For instance, the reason why this bus was attacked is because it is using a 1963 pre-colonial road that is on the border with Somalia. The main highway is called B9, the one that comes to Nairobi, which passes in the middle of the county away from this risk, is completely, in disrepair and was not being used in the last 2 years because of the condition. I mean, so really some of the issues
and the devolution of resources, I suppose, gets us a step closer. Professor, I cannot
so
allow you
so.
to reintroduce a new debate. I appreciate your views. Thank you all for coming to the program. We must take a break. We'll be back with more after these messages.